Hi, welcome back to another TerranScapes video. This video is going to actually get back to some terrain. I don't think I've showed you some terrain videos regularly, and that's partly because I was wrapping up some of the older orders. There were really no pieces. Well, actually, wait a minute. I did show you the rivers. Well, actually, so I showed you some terrain recently. But I'm going to be doing a project that's going to be ongoing. It's going to take a little while to do, and I thought it's a great opportunity to bring you along with me, as there is going to be definitely some new techniques in it. And also, I'm going to do a weekly update on it for the customer as well, show him some of the progress, make sure I'm checking in with him regularly. So, brief description of the project. This is going, I almost said product. I'm going to get these words right today, though. You can see behind me this enormous stack of foam. This is going to be an ocean board set. As you can imagine, this is going to make a large ocean, and it's going to have a couple special features. And what I'd like to do today is show you just a rough outline of where the boards are at, some of the board design that is going to be a little bit new, give you sort of an overview, and also explain some of the challenges that I had the last couple days getting it to this stage. I thought this would be the easy part, and I think this became the hard part, and the rest of it's going to be easy, except right at the very end. You know, it's always a journey. It's always a surprise. But I do want to thank all of the viewers that have contacted me over the last few months who have seen some water techniques that they thought they'd like to share with me. I've gotten, I even got a video sent to me that I've had sent to me 5 times, maybe 6, 7 times, and I had already seen it before it started getting sent to me, and it was on this last time I watched it and something clicked. I don't know why it didn't click for me before, but I was like, oh, that's not why am I not doing that? So it's weird how sometimes it takes repeated exposure to make a connection with something. So I just want to thank all the people who've sent me that. It was so that it doesn't get sent to me again. You know, not to say I'm complaining. I'm always grateful and a little touched that people take the time to find things for me. But this is a seaport that is from a Dave Foray video series, maybe. I don't know. It's old that he's not doing anymore. I wish he was. But I'll tell you what, just so you can see the video, I'll put a link. Where do I traditionally put it? I think over here. Does it matter? I don't know. So I'll put a link here to the video so you can go check it out and see. But I won't discuss it anymore at this point, but just to say that it did give me some ideas. Also, somebody sent me a, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, a link to something outside of YouTube that showed a new way of doing splashing. Absolutely fantastic, and illuminated how I had seen another fantastic diorama of water, the kind that makes me cry and really inspires me. And it was there was a splashing technique on it. I was like, how does he do that? And now I have an idea. And I was really struggling with the last ocean boards on how to do rocks. So I feel like I've got a whole fresh approach to it. And there were a few other, not to mention too many more, but there were a few other things that were sent to me. So absolutely fantastic, and I really appreciate when viewers take the time out to send stuff to me. It's, you know, I say it all the time, but you are a resource. You know, when I do comments, I don't count it as, you know, email in my sort of work hour allocation. I probably should count it as research, but not really, because I don't always get suggestions and links and stuff. But it is work that feels like work rather than something external to TerranScapes that I'm just kind of doing during the workday. So absolutely love all of you guys, not only for your comments and you know, kind words that help keep me motivated, but also for the time you take to actually help me become a better terrain artist. So, so we're going to take a look at the boards, and I don't see why I need to go further except to take a look at them. So let's come over to the table and I'll share you. I'll share a little bit about where this project's going to go. So Taking a look at the boards, you'll notice a few things, and I'll try and explain them all. First, just to mention these boards, which I will not show you. These are boards that I had previously done that are not appropriate at the way they had been done for this project, so I am retro doing them to match all the rest of these boards. They look a little ugly right now, so I'm not going to show them to you. But leave it said that when these boards are done, they will match it perfectly with the rest of these boards. It's not terribly complicated in terms of concept how to make that happen, and I actually wanted to use these partly because I had them sitting around, and Lord knows when I might use them again. So I wanted to incorporate them, save up a little studio space, and basically the amount of time it's going to take to retrofit them is going to be about the time it took to get these to this kind of a stage where I have to have these carved out. If you are new to my ocean boards, or my modular boards in general, this is the new technique that I'm using, which is to use a styrene edging to wrap around the boards to give them better protection from dings and dents, give it a nice professional finish on the edge. And I'm still working a little bit on how to, get like gaps like this perfectly smooth. And I've been practicing on the last set, and I think I can really get this nice. I'm going to need a finer grit sandpaper. I realized probably something around the 600 grit phase. 600 grit phase? 600 grit. Or perhaps I have some triple steel wool, which might make a good polishing finish for this as well. That's not really the point of showing you this, though. So basically, what I do after I mount the styrene is then I'm going to carve it out, and that will create in this board, particularly here, this is a corner board, all right? You see how this is going to be carved down, and then this will come down to this level, and that will make a slope that is going to become a corner board. So this will be all water, and then we're going to have land coming. Whoops, I'm probably out of frame. Land coming like this. So before I talk about the boards, just to explain a little bit about what happened over the last couple days, I had to cut on the silver bullet cutter all of these different edges, make sure that they all match so that this corner matches the appropriate direction with the other corner on the other side to make another corner board here. This is what I call a convex corner. And what happened is I have to have some that are 20 inches, and I have to have some that are 19 7/8 inches, and that will tile right, because you can see here that this overhangs by a 1/16 of an inch on each side, which is the thickness of the styrene. This is 0.060 styrene. Man, I had a ton of these, and then I had to go and sort them out for all the boards, and I ran into a problem with the silver bullet, which actually I am getting very close to doing a review on, and I'm going to talk about that in a future video, why I'm ready to do that review almost. But it was cutting improperly. I did the first sheet, I did a whole bunch of these, came out great. Then I started to do the rest of them, and the sheet started to go crooked as it was cutting, and it obviously wasn't cutting straight anymore, and all the cuts were out of alignment, and it was because I have to go over the edges over and over and over with the silver bullet because this is so thick. It's not really designed for this, and I had to throw out an 18 by 24 sheet of styrene because it was all messed up. I flipped it over, all messed up. And the next round, I had a couple cuts that were, not correct, so I had to flip it over. So that meant there was, say, a score mark across one of these, which is fine because I could flip it, put the score mark on the inside, and put it over here. But that's taking a 19 and putting it where a 20 should be, and that meant that I actually made some mistakes. I had some trouble with that, and then I was trying to finish it up so I could shoot a video yesterday. I was working till 2 in the morning on this, and at about 1:15 15, I started making stupid mistakes because I couldn't concentrate and I had to stop. And I was like, stop, just, you're making a ridiculous mistake here. You have to stop. I woke up the next day, I slept late, and then I was able to assemble the boards with a clear mind, and it actually went fairly quick. But between dealing with the silver bullet, and which meant actually that I just had a few that I was like, I'll just cut them by hand. Oh my gosh, cutting these by hand. You know, I've been questioning whether spending $2,000 on a die cutter, it's no joke, to do this, is it worth it? Oh man, you cut these by hand and you have to make them all perfect and everything has to match. And this is kind of a freehand cut here. And oh, I think it was a smart decision. And I'll explain more about that in a future video. But that is the difficulty that I had doing these boards to get them to this stage. It was stupidly difficult, partly because I had trouble with the machine, partly because I was doing it when I was tired, and partly because there's just well, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times 4, 44 sides, 2 different lengths, sort them all out. I don't know. I just had trouble with it. So anyway, that explains how I got to this point. And now I want to show you one of the differences that this set is going to have. You'll notice at this point here how the land area, this is going to be land, this is going to be water, that the land area is shorter here than it is here. This is actually going to comprise an island. And so I wanted, and actually talking with the customer, he wants to be able to put a building on it, and he wants to be able to use 2 to make an edge of the ocean, and then also be able to put 4 together to make an inter-island, and then it's going to have a big rocky outcropping, probably about 12 inches tall, with paths and little beaches to get to the top. Really excited about that because of the new rock technique I have, but it meant I had to create a new piece that is not intended to match these, but will match itself. And so here, right, we have another side, and then, now this may be out of frame. Let me turn the camera lens here so I can see. Are we out of frame? No, we're in frame. All right, so this is going to make a, what is this? This is 12 inches to here, I think. So this will make a 24-inch wide corner / side piece, and that is going to really give some nice platform for putting buildings on, whether it's going to be one central building that could be large, or to have these at the edges of the ocean, and then you'd have 2, and it would be 12 inches deep to allow you to put some smaller buildings on it. And I also wanted to have this taper be a little bit quicker of a drop, partly to preserve some ocean and partly to give a more realistic transition to the rocky piece that's going to sit up on it, because that's going to have a relatively vertical perspective, and I don't want that to then have this crazy gradual slope, which I think is going to look a little less realistic than having an abrupt transition. And I contemplated having that be a much more abrupt transition, and I think I wanted just a little bit of the land showing through the water, so that is why I did that. Now, one more change that happened with these boards, and actually looking at the foam, you'll see why I had been doing something previously. Are you following along with all of this? So, previously, when I have made boards before I started doing the styrene edging, I was using the foam, and then I found that some of these pieces have a varying thickness. And let's see if I can find you, because these have not been trimmed. Let's see, so we got that one. Oh, these 2 are perfect. All right, so you can see here that the foam meets the top edge perfectly, but here it's about 1/8 of an inch taller than this point. Now, these are supposed to be 1.5 inches thick, and what happens is that the foam is either warped, there's a little bit of a gap under here, or the actual thickness is not right. And so what I would do is I would sand this down to get it to be more uniform at this point, and then that way when people tiled the boards they would match. Now I have the customer has a large collection of boards. I'm gonna try more one takes. So, you know, because setting up these double cameras, I'm not going to do that today, but man, my editing is getting long, so roll with me. He has a large collection of boards from my older style before the styrene edging, and that meant that they're all sanded down. So what I did is I cut these a little bit shorter so that I'll be sanding this down to this height, and this will match more carefully, more accurately with his existing board set. So when I shortened this, that means some of the foam now is exposed, but notice it's not here. So that is why in the past, when I use the styrene edging, I've been actually spackling it to bring it up to flush with some of these, and some of these have been fine. Let's see, I had one more thing I think I wanted to mention. Well, maybe not. In any case, you can see here that this is a very large set. And once I have all of these carved, which is the next stage, I'll be using the hot wire foam cutter. I actually use the 24-inch hot wire, what do they call it? Deluxe table. I can't remember the entire name, but if you go to the Hot Wire Foam Factory, you'll see they've got a large table, and it's got a couple bars, and you can set up wires. I set that wire up so that I can cut relatively smooth across here, and then I actually do some hand cutting over here to get a little bit of a uneven shape in the shoreline so it looks a little more natural. Once I do that, then I'm going to do the math and see how much resin I'm going to need, because I'm going to be filling this, right, quite a bit up to bring this up to here. Now, here's an interesting thing, though, because, oh, this was the other thing I wanted to mention. Because I had to shorten these boards, I will end up having a more shallow ocean than I have had in the past, right, because I'm going to lose an 1/8 of an inch depth, which means that I will have to tint these bottom layers much, much more heavily to be able to have them look opaque at the bottom, and then be able to transition to a lighter color so that then you can see the slope underneath the water coming up and the vegetation that I'm going to put here, and of course to be able to have waves crashing on the shore. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge with this set. So I don't know exactly how that's going to go until I get closer to it, but I can tint the resin at any opacity I want. I usually use, in this case, a combination of inks and paints. And if you are interested in some brief description of the types of water effects, and I think I mentioned a little bit about tinting them, you can go to my Patreon page, and I have a monthly column from last month that is on all the different kinds of water products that are available, and I talk, I believe, a little bit about tinting them. And also this month coming up, which is only in a couple days, I'm going to be doing a monthly column on Envirotex explicitly based on a patron request, and that is primarily the material I use to do the bulk of the fill for the water. So if you're interested in that, in a couple days, maybe 4 or 5 days, because sometimes I write it a couple days after the start of the month, you can go to my Patreon page and you can read that. Hopefully you bring your reading glasses and have a little bit of time, because you know me, brevity is not my forte as it is. So the columns are, you know, a couple pages long, and I try to cover them in depth. So that's an overview of this project. This took me longer than I expected, plus I had to kick in a few of my own hours because I made mistakes. I don't charge for those mistakes, but I do track how long they take. So this was a bit of a journey to get here, but the next few stages are pretty straight up. And I will be using a new material. I don't know if you can see a little hint here of the sand. This is the old sand that I'm using, and I have a new technique, a new covering that will be, I think, much more accurate to scale. And so I'm going to be taking off some of this sand and recoating it and doing the beach in a new technique. So hopefully you'll be interested in seeing that once I get to that stage. So that gives you a little bit of a look of where I'm at with this project and where I will be going with it. This is going to take me several weeks, as you might imagine, to complete this project. So I'll be doing, like I said, a weekly update on this. Whether, who knows, how the week goes, but wherever I'm at in the week, I'll be coming back and showing you. So hopefully you'll come back and join me along the way for that process. I have a new plan, part of this organization now that I'm trying to do, with comments and email, trying to get more regular, and I'm going to try and shoot videos, Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's going to be my video day, and this is supposed to be Thursday, but it's Friday. I was feeling a little under the weather yesterday, plus I slept late because I had stayed up so late on Wednesday, so I'm behind in the week a little bit for that, but I'm still going to try and do that regularly because I know I've been a little irregular with the videos each month, and it's good for me and good for my channel. I think people like to see a little more regularity. I know I do, because when I get a slew of videos from one of my subscriptions and then this big gap, I have trouble watching them all. I want to watch them right away and then, cram them in, and then I have to wait. And so I'm going to try and be a little bit more regular. So wish me luck on that. Now, stay tuned to the channel, however. I hinted that I have a personal terrain project that I'm doing. It's going to be for the Unplugged GT, and in some ways, it's hobby terrain for me. Never done that before. So I'm going to be doing a video of that very soon, and I got a Q&A. I have enough questions ready for that, and I have a review as well coming up. So I'm going to try and shoot a couple of them today, because today is Thursday, but it's really Friday. But I'm going to pretend it's Thursday, and I'm going to try and make some of Saturday, Friday, and then I'm all caught up. Hopefully you enjoy more one takes, because as I mentioned, editing I'm trying to streamline it, and I have streamlined some, but then I add more to it. So my videos, so that means I'm going to trim a little bit in some areas so that I can expand it in others in terms of quality. So hopefully you'll enjoy a more candid mic and a more candid TerranScapes. So questions and comments, always welcome down below. You know that. Psyched for the new subscribers. I had a subscriber in the last video let me know that it was a new, that she was a new subscriber, and that was fantastic. So thank you all for joining me. I always appreciate it, and stay tuned, because very soon I will be back with another TerranScapes video.